Son of a what?
Son of a slimy I didn't have anything else after that. I'm a snack.
And there's our beginning, our little opener.
This is the Always More podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Always More podcast, where we believe there is always more room at the table for honest questions, meaningful conversations, and deeper understanding. Today on the pod, we are talking about our reviews and recommendations of the week, things in the news you probably didn't hear about, vegetables' existence, deadly Australian wildlife, frozen heads, listener questions, and the greatest movie ever made. But first, I want to welcome my best friend, the coolest dude on the entire universe, my brother, Christopher Thomas Ford. How are you doing, my man?
I'm a little upset. I'm not going to lie to you.
You're no longer say guiding light?
No.
Oh.
No. I'm too upset for that right now. So here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
As soon as we finished recording the last episode, I thought of my favorite dad joke.
Oh, yes. You got it? You got it with you?
I do.
Oh, okay,
So,
what is it?
All right, so there's 4 guys on a boat, right?
Right.
And they have 5 cigarettes, but nothing to light them with.
Right.
So one of the guys takes a cigarette, throws it overboard, and the whole boat becomes a cigarette lighter.
I don't like that.
Get it? They threw a cigarette over, so now it's one cigarette lighter.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good, right? That's good.
Yeah,
Come on.
sure.
That's good. Come on.
That's a good dad joke. Yeah.
Don't patronize me. You know that was great.
Okay, you're right. That was funny. I guess I just felt guilty for not understanding it immediately when you said it.
It's not funny if you have to explain it.
That's true.
Fine. Whatever. Let's get to our next subject. All right.
Okay,
Let's just jump on in.
Because we got a big show today.
We do. It's going to be probably one of the biggest shows ever made. Definitely has the most money put into it.
Yes.
Not by us by any means, but
right.
by overall people, I guess, just in the world putting money into the stuff that we're talking about. We're not getting any of this money, by the way.
No, we are absolutely not. All right, let's dive in. Our first segment of the day is Rec and Rev, which is our recommendations and reviews of the week. Chris, you go first, man.
All right, so I've started watching this show on Amazon Prime called Invincible.
You've told me about this.
Yeah, you really need to watch it.
I just finished, what did I just finish? The Umbrella Academy. That's what I just finished.
Also really good.
Oh,
they're kind of in the same vein, actually. Invincible is about this kid whose father is the greatest superhero of all time. And he's realizing he's got superpowers, so he starts learning his hero journey, doing all this stuff. It goes pretty deep into, like, the reality of being a superhero, though, like not being able to save everyone.
Yeah.
It kind of mixes the dark grittiness of DC with the Marvel joking, laughter, lighter colors, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I think this is what I wanted out of DC movies. This is what I wanted them to do.
Interesting.
And it is such a good feel for a superhero show. It's kind of a new thing, but you know, it still has that classic superhero hold to it. I'd probably put it at an 8 out of a 10 for a superhero show, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm only 5 episodes in, and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier with every episode.
Yeah.
But it is good.
Cool.
So I would definitely check that one out if I were you.
Yeah.
And then probably the coolest movie I've seen in a long time, Godzilla vs. Kong.
You liked it?
I did. I didn't expect to.
I can't. Okay, look. You do you first. You do you first.
Okay, so obviously, you know, Godzilla and King Kong movies have been coming out for a crazy long time, since like the 50s. It's been out forever. The most recent ones have not been great. King Kong, Skull Island, I think it was.
Yeah, I didn't care for that either.
Godzilla and King of Monsters was pretty good, but it wasn't.
I didn't like the second one. The first one I didn't mind. One with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah,
I like that one.
It wasn't bad, but you know, it wasn't super great.
Yeah.
It is what it is, though. It's a giant monster movie. You're not really in it for the storyline or the plot. You're in it to watch some giant monsters break some stuff.
Yeah.
So this one was essentially just that. It had some really cool fight scenes between the giant monsters.
That's true. It did.
Between the kaiju, if I may.
Kaiju.
And you know, it was just a pretty good movie. Millie Bobby Brown was in it.
Yeah.
That one kid from every other like Canadian movie.
No, he's not Canadian. He's well, he might be in those Canadian movies, but he's the guy from what is that movie by Taika Waititi? The Wilder People. Is it Hunt for the Wilder People? He's the young kid.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I don't know
he's
who
hilarious.
he is. I've never seen that movie, but I know I recognized him from there as soon as I saw it. It was a really good movie, though. I think you would probably enjoy it. It's not super great, but
You talking
check it
to
out.
me?
Yeah, you.
I've
for
already
sure.
watched it.
I thought you said you didn't watch it.
No, I did watch it, and that was my hesitation before, is because I didn't care for it, and maybe it was because I watched it on the TV and not with headphones, but I don't know, I felt a little underwhelmed.
Oh, see, I had that sound bar that I won in a competition, and with the sound bar, like, it was really cool to hear like Godzilla from behind me in one spot and King Kong from behind me in the other. And then there's just that really cool scene with the axe. It's in the commercial, so I'm not spoiling anything. But that was a really cool shot.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
I felt like it was, I don't know. I feel like I would appreciate it more if I watched it in theaters, but I'm also just trying to be, responsible.
Not get COVID.
Not get COVID right now. But I mean, it was okay.
How mad would you be if you got COVID, like, on the downswing?
I would be so ticked off.
You're like the last person in the U.S. to get COVID.
And for all you guys listening to this, my wife had COVID in this house, and I didn't catch it. And that's how angry I would be if I just randomly just got it from outside, and like 99% of people had the vaccines and I was the one person who didn't and got it. I'd be mad. Oh my goodness. All right, so for my Rec and Revs,
what you got?
I want to start off with a movie that I really enjoyed called The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Okay.
This is some history that I did not know about that much, but it was basically about the Democratic Convention in 1770. Oh, man. 1770s. I can't remember which one it was. And it's about basically the whole trial, if you don't know the history behind it, is about who started the quote-unquote riots. It's basically the U.S. government versus these 7 people. And it's really just one of those... I know that there's going to be more to it because it's just a movie. They can't fit everything into that movie. But it was one of those things to where, I don't know, like when you look back at history, you really begin to realize there are only so much that we are shown. And so I've been really, I've been deliberately trying to watch movies about history that I don't know about. And this was one of those. And so I really enjoyed it. It was really refreshing. After the movie, I did my own research with it and kind of just, did my own looking into it. And it really was it doesn't matter what side you agree with. There's shadiness on both sides, and there was definitely things about our government that you go, yeah, that explains a lot.
Oh, I'm well aware. I see that daily.
Right. It's like the things that you see now today, and you go, man, have we always been this dark? Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, 1,000%. We've always been very shady. And
so from the beginning.
Right. And it's not like it's the U.S. government as an entity that is. It's just there are dumb people that get elected into those things. So not all people that are elected are that way, but
a pretty big majority.
But a pretty good majority.
Enough that it's a problem.
Enough to where they can keep making movies about this stuff.
We're going to get a new one every 5 years. Man. All right, what else you got?
Yeah. So the last one I watched was a documentary called Magnus. Magnus is a guy. His full name is Magnus Carlsen, and he is is he Norwegian or Swedish? I can't remember which one it is. But he's a chess player. And a while back, Jessica and I watched The Queen's Gambit.
Still haven't seen that, but that's also on my list.
Fantastic show. Anyway, so it kind of got me a little curious about chess and kind of, who are like the big guys right now. And Magnus is kind of like the big dude right now.
His name is Magnus.
I guess that kind of does it for you.
You're going to be successful at whatever you do.
Something, yeah. So anyways, it's just a documentary about him. The documentary wasn't the best, but it was really enlightening just to kind of, see a little bit about, just chess in general and what they deal with. And he really is like the Tiger Woods, the Tom Brady, the top of the top of chess world. And so it was really refreshing kind of just to see something different that I'm not used to seeing. So, yeah.
I guess we don't really put too much emphasis on chess as a country. So
no,
we don't get that type of information. Like other than Magnus Carlsen now, like that's literally the only chess player I know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. All right, cool.
Well, I think that's it, dude.
Well, then I think we should probably move on to our next segment.
What is that next segment, Chris?
I don't know who needed to hear this, but we can all see your passive-aggressive Facebook status, and none of us want to know as much as you want to tell us. Just say it.
Say it.
Like vague booking, I don't get it. Just tell us what your problem is if you want us to know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask. Like on principle, I don't ask.
Right.
If I see somebody's like, some people, blah, 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 I'm like, oh, cool. Anyway, over here, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, but on the other hand, I was in a position for a while to where I didn't feel comfortable enough to be able to say certain things because of what might happen because of it, and I'll just leave that at that. And so on one hand, it's like, I get it if you're afraid of like losing a job or getting scolding out. On the other hand, if you're going to put it on social media, you might as well just put it out there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to talk about your situation more in depth later on.
Oh, give me some time.
As you're more comfortable, we'll bring it out. I'm not trying to force you to tell your story, but you are going to tell your story.
I want this to be a fun episode, Chris. Let's not get too deep in this one.
It's fun for me.
Okay. I don't know who needed to hear this, but Africa is not a country.
Bruh.
I really hate that this has to be said, but I've seen it too many times on the interwebs. Guys, Africa is not a country.
I hear it like all the time.
It's a continent.
Yes.
It consists of many countries.
What really kills me, and like you said, it's going to be fun, so I don't want to dive into this, but when white people tell black people, go back to Africa.
Oh.
It's like, okay, where?
Yeah.
Where am I from in Africa?
Name a country.
But if you say to that same white person, go back to Europe, they're like, I'm from France. I'm Irish. Okay, well, this guy's from Chad. This guy's from Cameroon.
Right.
This guy's from Mali. Do you even know more than 3 countries in Africa? It's a whole continent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw that the other day. I was like, okay, I got to say something about that. So if you're listening and you didn't know that, no shame, but now you know.
No, lots of shame. Shame on you. You should know that.
No, because I blame the American school system, education system. That's who I blame the most here.
Okay, fine. Most of the shame goes to the American school system, but you still get some.
Well, you're clear of this now. You have no ignorance now. Now you know. Go out and prosper.
You are responsible for what you know.
Oh, man. All right, let's dive into this next segment. It's one of our favorites. It is titled,
What Did I Miss?
Yes.
That's like one of my favorite sounds in the world.
Dude, and might I say, Chris, I know I might have brushed on this before, but I love your singing, man. I haven't heard it in many moons. But
Well, you're going to.
Chris, should I go into this? Should I start with this?
Yeah,
thing?
go ahead and start with yours because you have way more information on yours than I have on mine.
Yeah, I'm going to reflect on this article, which again I share in the share. Let me try that again. I'm going to refer to this article that I will share in the show notes. But the main title is this: Geologist beaten up by angriest octopus on beach.
So I don't read these before we do these recordings.
I'm glad you
so
don't.
So that I can react in real time.
Yeah. Okay. So it goes like this. Guy, his name is Mr. Carlson, and he said he was about to take a dip near the resort that he was at in Australia, where he and his family were staying, when he saw what he thought was the tail of a stingray striking a seagull. Okay, pause here. Stingrays can kill you.
Yeah.
It killed Steve Irwin.
The greatest animal person alive.
If you see a stingray, don't go after a stingray. Let it be.
No, you go after that stingray, you drag it on land, and you make it an unfair fight. Steve Irwin still got shooters in these streets. I'm taking any stingray I can.
Okay. So it was not a stingray. He discovered that it was an octopus only when he walked closer with his 2-year-old daughter. Guys, there's so many wrongs here.
Leave your kid further up on the beach.
Okay, and he was filming a video of it when suddenly it struck in his direction. And guys, I need you, wherever you're at right now, unless you're driving, to pause this episode and go to the show notes and find this video, because this sucker, the octopus is in the water, and it jumps up like 6 feet, and he goes after him and actually catches his neck. And I don't know if you know this about octopus suction cups, but those things can hurt. Those things like take off skin.
Yeah.
It's no joke. Okay,
I've seen it.
So he said the octopus lashed out at us, which was a real shock. Oh, man, maybe you should leave animals alone. Later, when he went into the water alone, the octopus found him again and struck him. He went back to it.
He went back for seconds.
He went back to The octopus was like, all right, you want to go? Let's go.
I said round 2. Fight.
Okay, but I wanted to take this moment, and I know we have time limits on this show, but I don't care, because I want to talk about Australia for a minute. If you're going to fight any animals, you probably should leave Australia out of it, because it's got some crazy wildlife.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's just to name a few, and I do literally mean a few. The Tasmanian devil, which is a real animal.
Right.
It's like the mongoose, but worse. And
it's an angry mongoose.
It's a freaking angry mongoose. Then you have the platypus, which seems awesome and fun and whatever, but I don't know if you knew this, but male platypi are actually venomous during mating season.
I don't know if you knew this, but the plural form of platypus is platypode.
Did I say it wrong?
You said platypi.
I thought it was platypi.
It's platypode.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm wrong. Okay, next one is the huntsman spider, which is actually not that dangerous, but it's freaking huge. It's like the size of, I don't know, the size of your head. It's huge.
I got a big head, man.
It's huge. And another one, the blue-ringed octopus, which is extremely venomous.
Is that the one that got him?
No, it was a different one. But
okay. Oh, thank God.
But it's just like, if you know
what
this
if that
thing,
had been a blue-ringed octopus?
Right. The dude could have been dead. Anyways, saltwater crocodile, which those things are huge.
I keep telling my dad those exist, and he keeps telling me they don't, but I know they do.
They exist in Australia.
100%.
And then another one, the flying fox, which is essentially, I just showed this to Jessica the other day. It's a huge bat.
It's a bat.
It's like, no, it's literally like a small flying fox. That's why they got its name. It is that huge. Go look it up.
Is it that cute?
I thought it looked cute. Jessica did not think it was cute.
It's probably just the psychological thing of the fact that it's a bat.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got, though. I'm done. I'm done with... Just leave animals alone, guys. Don't start a fight with a random stingray or octopus or whatever it is.
Unless you know you can win.
We talked about this before.
Like if you're going after like a cougar with a knife, that's fine.
Fair game.
But don't attack an octopus or really any water creature if you can't hold your breath for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Just stay out of Australia, probably. That's a safe bet.
If you're trying to fight animals, just don't go to that country.
Right. All right. What you got, man?
All right. So mine actually is kind of similar, really, to the story you just told. Although this one happened in Virginia. It's not an Australian thing.
Okay.
Still just as dangerous as animals can be.
Yeah.
A Virginia high school student was napping on a school bus Monday when, and I kid you not, there's video of this. I'll put the video in the notes too.
Yes.
A deer crashed through the windshield of this bus and then landed on top of the kid.
Oh my gosh.
What kills me though is like, this is a Gen Z kid through and through because they interviewed him afterwards. He's a 15-year-old Brendan Martin from Powhatan High School is where he's from.
Yeah.
He was not injured. He was fine. They interviewed him. He was confused.
Well, yeah.
His statement says, I was really confused because I was trying to sleep and I woke up to something on my back. I realized it was a deer and was just very confused because I'd never seen a deer actually jump through a windshield and then land.
Did he wake up from the sound of the crashing glass, or did he wake up
No,
from the
he
deer on
woke up
top
when
of
the
him?
deer was on top of him. Gen Z does not care, man.
Love those
Whatever
guys.
is happening to them at any point in time, they're just like, yeah, this might as well happen.
Not surprised
Like
anymore.
he woke up, he was just like, oh, there's a deer. Like you remember that Totally Kyle from All That?
Oh yeah.
It's like, a deer. And the deer was like, a Kyle. That's basically what just happened. And so the deer like gets up and just runs off.
Yeah.
Everybody's fine despite the incident. He said he was still going to look forward to sitting in his favorite seat because lightning doesn't strike twice.
Oh my god.
He said it's not like it's going to happen again.
Wait, so was this kid just randomly napping in a school bus that had parked, or?
No, like they were on the bus route. He was just
okay.
sleeping on his way to or from school. I'm not sure which one it was.
Dude, that's stinking hilarious.
Right? Oh my God.
Animals, man. We're just on the animal thing today.
And we didn't even plan that. Like,
No,
it just
total
happened.
accident.
Oh man.
We're just in that zone.
Maybe it's just because like we're that close mentally, or maybe it's just because animals are going crazy across the world.
That could be it. Maybe they're getting more bold with the pandemic.
Maybe they know something we don't.
Oh.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
Ooh.
All right. Anyways, man. I guess that's all we've got for What Did I Miss? We're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Woo.
And we are back.
We're back.
What's up, guys? All right. So we're going to get into our main topic in just a second.
Yes.
But like I said earlier, this is going to be the highest money involved situation we've ever done.
Yeah.
This is like upwards of billions and possibly trillions of dollars.
Wow. Accumulated, yeah, I guess.
Over time and accounting for inflation, all of that.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, Tim?
We're talking about movies.
Which ones?
all of them.
All of them.
The greatest
Every
movie ever made. We're going to try to narrow that down by the end of this topic, but we'll see how we get there.
Oh, I know exactly which movie that is.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Okay.
It's called Trolls 2.
Oh, my God, dude.
No, that is the worst movie ever made. It's literally the worst movie ever made.
Really?
It is, yeah.
I've never seen it, so I have no...
Save yourself. Please don't.
Also, quick disclaimer before we move on. We're doing this in the middle of my living room, and we also have sleeping babies. Well, sort of. Three sleeping babies that are in the other room, but they are kind of sort of waking up, but not waking up. So if you hear one randomly yell out at you...
It's because we're completely ignoring them. We're neglecting our children right now for you.
Oh, my
We're neglecting our children for you.
So please
the
donate
listener.
at the pod at... I'm just kidding. Okay, all right. Let's do this. So the way we're going to break this down today is we wanted to have some fun with it. We want to talk about our favorites versus the best, because I do believe there is a difference.
Oh yeah.
Like I do have my favorites, but I don't necessarily believe that they are the best movies, and vice
some
versa.
of the best movies are definitely not my favorites. So
Correct, right. So we'll talk about the best, which includes like highest grossing, highest rated, and most awards, and then we'll also talk about like our most overrated and underrated films, and a few more things. So let's just dive in. Let's get into it because we got a lot of fun things, a lot of fun movies we can talk about.
yeah, it could take a long time. We are also going to put one more disclaimer out there. When it comes to our favorites, we are huge nerds.
Oh yeah.
So Lord of the Rings,
Oh right.
Star Wars, comic book movie, mainstream comic book movies,
Yeah.
all of that stuff is off the table.
Yep. Yep.
Obviously,
That would have.
obviously we can't say, oh, our favorite movies, our top 4 favorite movies are Avengers 1, Avengers 2, Avengers 3, and Avengers 4. You know,
It would have it would have dominated the top 10.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, good disclaimer. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about the highest grossing films of all time. And I decided to do it based on adjusted for inflation, because it's like, I mean, let's think about this. 30 years down the road, let's say another movie makes $1 billion at box office and it starts to compete with Endgame or Avatar. It's going to be different because money's going to mean more in the next 20 to 30 years than it does now, just the same way it did 30 years ago from today. So,
Yeah.
The same way that some of these movies didn't look like they made a lot of money back then, it really did.
Like some of our worst movies make like hundreds of thousands, but when movies first came out, that was like a dream for the directors. So
Right. Yeah. So we want to talk about the top 10. We're not going to talk about it. We might talk about it. The top 10, we want you to guess along. So you'll probably guess most of these just because of the synopsis and you've probably seen these. But here are the top 10 highest grossing adjusted for inflation films of all time. Number 10, made in 2015, written by Lawrence Kasdan, Michael Arndt, how do you pronounce that name? Yeah, Arndt. And J.J. Abrams, and directed by J.J. Abrams. As a threat to the galaxy rises, Rey, a desert scavenger, and Finn, an ex-stormtrooper, must join Han Solo and Chewbacca to search for the one hope in restoring peace in Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
I feel like the synopsis just gives it away.
That one definitely does.
100%.
Yeah. $2.2 billion.
Wow.
That's again adjusted for inflation. So I think it was a little bit less than that at the time, but that's basically what it is today.
There
So
you go.
do this
Number
next
9.
Yeah.
This one is actually one of my dad's favorites. 1966 film written by Boris Pasternak and Robert Bolt, and directed by David Lean. This movie is about the life of a Russian physician and poet who, although married to another, falls in love with a political activist's wife and experiences hardships during World War I and then the October Revolution in Dr. Zhivago.
I've never seen this.
I honestly haven't either.
Oh, there you go.
It's one of my dad's favorites. I've read the book. I just haven't seen the movie.
I think
Which is really weird. Like,
Yeah.
usually for me, it's the other way around.
well, apparently Jessica has heard of this, but I don't know if she's actually watched it or not. But
It's like one of the greatest books ever written. And if they made a movie about it, obviously it's on our list.
mean,
so
yeah.
there you go.
It earned $2.25 billion.
Jeez.
That's a lot of money.
That's killing people money.
That's all, yeah, for sure. All right, number 8, made in 1956, written by Aeneas Mackenzie, Jesse Lasky Jr., and Jack Garris and Frederick M. Frank, and directed by Cecile B. DeMille?
Cecil B. DeMille, if
DeMille.
I'm not mistaken.
Moses, an Egyptian prince, learns of his true heritage as a Hebrew and his divine mission as a deliverer of his people in...
Prince of Egypt.
No.
So close.
The Ten Commandments, earning $2.37 billion.
Ah, yeah, with Charlton Heston.
Yes.
That's a good one.
It's been many moons since I've seen the movie, but
Many moons.
But for a 1956 film, well deserving. All right, next up.
Brought to this world in 1982. Written by Melissa Matheson and directed by Steven Spielberg. A troubled child summons the courage to help a friendly alien escape Earth and return to his homeworld in...
E.T.
You gotta do the little finger thing. Do the little finger thing. I can't reach.
There you go.
There we go. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which, if I'm not mistaken, was Drew Barrymore's first movie.
I think you're right, or one of her, at
It's
least
definitely one of her earlier ones.
Yeah.
She was a tiny kid in that one. But E.T. actually gave me nightmares as a kid. So I'm going to go ahead and move on past this one pretty quickly.
I don't think I ever watched it, actually.
This one brought in $2.51 billion.
Incredible. And it's only going higher from here.
Yeah, because it's never going to, nobody's going to lose money. Nobody's going to, show up to Steven Spielberg's house and be like, hey, give me $5 for my movie back.
Oh, man. Okay. Number 6. We first heard this movie in 1965, written by George Herdalick, Howard Lindsay, Russell Krause, Ernest Krause. Ernest Krause, that makes more sense.
Krause.
Ernest Lehman and Maria von Trapp, and directed by Robert Wise. A woman leaves an Austrian convent to become a governess to the children of a naval officer widower in The Sound of Music.
I love that movie. Mostly for the first half of it, just the music is, ingrained in my childhood. But also, I just love watching Nazi flags get ripped in half.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's always a plus.
That's, my favorite part of the whole movie.
Again, most of these older films, I feel like I've seen before, but it's just been so long since I have. And so I know Jessica really loves this movie.
Yeah.
But this earned $2.57 billion.
The next one is made in 2019.
Oh, geez, I wonder what this one is.
Oh, you know what this one is. You know. Made in 2019, written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, and directed by Anthony and Joe Russo, the Russo brothers.
Mm-hmm.
After the devastating events, the universe is in ruins. With the help of remaining allies, the heroes assemble once more in order to reverse Thanos' actions and restore balance to the universe in Avengers Endgame.
Do. I was doing Captain America's theme. Wrong
That's
one.
close enough.
Close enough.
They're all the same.
I mean,
he was the first Avenger, so it's fine.
Right.
This movie, although it does not need to be adjusted for inflation
No,
because
not really.
it was 2 years ago,
Literally.
barely, we're looking at $2.82 billion.
So wild.
This one held the record for a hot minute recently. It was in first place for a while.
Yeah.
And then something else happened, and it lost its first place title.
Sure did. All right, let's move on. This one will be no surprise to most of our fans. Made in 1977, written and directed by George Lucas. And I decided to change up the synopsis just in case for you guys that don't know what this is. A farm boy joins forces with a Jedi Knight and a cocky pilot, a Wookiee and two droids to save the galaxy from the Empire's world-destroying battle station while also attempting to rescue Princess Leia from the mysterious Darth Vader in Star Wars: The New Hope. See, it's like... That would be in my top 10, easy. So there's no way we could have gone through this without having that in there. So, anyways, earned $3.07 billion. That movie
adjusted for inflation, obviously.
Yeah, correct. If you watch documentaries, you see the same kind of hype for this movie as you saw for Avengers Endgame and for other big movies like Avatar and everything, if not bigger, obviously.
And what's crazy is I don't know how they did that, because to get that kind of hype for Avengers and stuff, it took 10 years of story building.
Yeah.
For that, it was the first one.
Yeah.
They have to have an insane marketing team.
I mean, this truly just shows for any of you guys who are not Star Wars fans, and that's fine. You do you.
It's not fine, but whatever.
But the reason why it's such a big deal is because it is truly a big deal. This movie revolutionized sci-fi films, and it really changed a lot of even the industry and the technology behind making this movie truly changed movie making.
Yeah.
And so when it came out in 1977, it just did a huge remodel of how movies are made and how they're written. And so that's why we like Star Wars so much, is because not only because of the storytelling, but because truly it is so innovative.
It's world-changing is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. This next one. I see what you did here, Tim.
You see what I did there?
Making Waves in 1997, written and directed by James Cameron.
I
A
had to.
17-year-old aristocrat falls in love with a kind but poor artist aboard the luxurious and ill-fated RMS Titanic.
I had to put it in there.
Making Waves.
Making waves.
I'm so mad at that. So this is another one of those movies that has people talking about the theories behind it and conspiracies
yeah.
and all kinds of cool stuff like that. It was a true story. James Cameron decided he was going to direct this and write it and everything, and he's actually got a couple of them on this list.
Yes, he does.
James Cameron wrote this one, and it completely changed love stories as far as movies go.
Yeah.
This, I remember, actually, I had this one on VHS. Two cassettes.
Yes.
2 cassettes in a box.
Yes. And guys, this is fun fact. This is one of my dad's favorite movies of all time.
I did not expect that.
Neither did I, but we had that exact cassette, and it would be my job to go over and rewind it after we were done with the first cassette, and then go to the second cassette and rewind it when it was done. And we have watched that movie too many times, and so I can say now I don't care for this movie anymore.
That's fine. You don't have to.
I mean, James Cameron did a great job with it. Leo was fantastic in there, but I can't. It's too much for me.
Too ingrained in your kid's childhood.
Much.
All right. That one brought in $3.1 billion.
That's a lot of money.
That is insane.
All right, next one up. Made in 2009, written and directed by James Cameron, another James Cameron film, a
Paraplegic.
I can't talk today. Dispatched to the moon, Pandora, on a unique mission, becomes torn between following his orders and protecting the world he feels is his home in Avatar.
This one is, if I'm not mistaken, without having to adjust for inflation, still number one.
Yes, yeah.
It retook Avengers.
Correct, because they re-released it in theaters in China.
Oh, that's how they did it.
Right.
They cheated.
So I feel like this is a double cheat. Okay, so here's my little rant for today, okay? So hear me out. Avatar by itself is fine, except for the fact that it's cheated and it's basically stolen every story about Indians and Native Americans.
Yeah, it's Pocahontas.
It's colonialism.
It's blue Pocahontas.
It's exactly what it is. It's beautifully made. James Cameron, great story, but as far as the general theme of it, it's American colonialism.
It's not even like an original thought. It is literally a straight rip of Disney's Pocahontas. Yep. They just painted the natives blue.
Right.
And they used guns in Pocahontas too. Yeah, so there you go.
So hear me out. It's not a bad movie by any means, but as far as like originality, like for people that say like, oh wow, this is so innovative, like wow, aliens. I'm like,
the technology was sure,
yeah.
The visuals were absolutely.
Granted,
the thought process behind the creatures and how they interact with their world, yes, all of that, fantastic. But the storyline was blue Pocahontas.
Yes. I am more interested in the next one that's going to come out.
It's going to be Blue Pocahontas 2. They're going to take the woman and put her on a spaceship and fly her back to Earth, where she will catch a disease and die.
Oh, that would be so horrible.
That's what happened to Pocahontas.
Oh, I know. Okay, let's end this, dude.
Right.
Let's get this out of the way.
So the number one movie adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
Was actually probably one of the highest grossing movies for decades, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
Even without adjusting for inflation. This movie was made in 1939, written by Margaret Mitchell and Sidney Howard, directed by Victor Fleming. A manipulative woman and a roguish man conduct a turbulent romance during the American Civil War and Reconstruction periods in Gone with the Wind.
I don't think I've seen this movie. I know.
Friendship over.
I'm sorry to say, but I don't think I've seen this. I've seen clips and I know enough about it. But
Well, frankly, my dear,
I know.
I don't give a rat's butt.
I know that quote. I know that from
That's
it.
where it's from.
Yeah. I
There
remember
you go.
that was super. I remember learning about that quote and like that was the first time. Was that the first time they cussed on film,
I think so.
or at least one of the most
It's
popular?
definitely the first time I cursed. I was quoting that,
Oh yeah.
and I got in trouble.
Oh, I'm just quoting a movie.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not an excuse.
Right.
Yeah. So this movie, like I said, it's without adjusting for inflation, was probably one of the highest earners.
Yeah.
Adjusting for inflation, though, this is such a huge jump.
Yeah.
From the last movie, Avatar, $3.28 billion.
Yeah.
This one is $3.73 billion.
Incredible.
That
amount.
is $500 million more.
Yeah.
Adjusting for inflation than the last movie we just looked at.
Yeah. Gone with the Wind is by far the most earning movie. I mean, just the time it came out in 1939. I mean, it is such a just the time that it came out during World War II, and just considering that people were at war. This is when people were more concerned about other things. The mere fact that this movie did so big during that time, it really shows just how much of an impact it was.
That's probably why.
They wanted an escape.
Yeah, like when I was a kid, my dad was in Iraq, and when he was there, like every weekend, my mom would take me to the movies, or a friend would say, "Hey, let's go to the movies," and you would see all kinds of military kids at these theaters just watching movies. It's an escape.
Yeah.
It's a way to not have to think about the war,
Well,
not
maybe
have
that's
to
what it
worry
was.
about your friends and family being out there.
Wow.
So that probably helped it out a lot financially.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you're thinking like, dude, there's a war happening.
Right.
Why are you making a movie right now?
Oh,
I
that's
don't
true.
know. So those are the top 10 as far as highest grossing goes.
Yeah. Okay, so before we move it on to our top 10 and some of the most awarded movies, we just want to go quickly. We'll go very quickly in this. The top 10 highest rated, according to Rotten Tomatoes, movies out there. So starting at number 10 with 99% critic and 79% audience is Lady Bird. Have you ever seen that?
I haven't, but it's on my list as well.
It's a good movie. It's a
All
good
right.
movie.
Number 9, Toy Story 4 was 97% for critics, 94% for people.
I felt like Toy Story 3 was better. I don't know how Rotten Tomatoes figures this out, but this was according to their website, their top 10. I thought Toy Story 3 was
I think
better.
they pay people to rate movies, and then they also accept non-paid ratings from people that want to do it for free.
That makes sense.
But I think Toy Story 3 was better as well.
Okay. All right. Number 8 with 93% critic and 59% audience, which, again, this just confuses the stink out of me, Us.
That is probably one of my all-time favorite movies.
It's a great movie.
It's not on the list that I gave you, but it should be.
You need to go back.
My list is so fluid, man. I'm sorry. I can't.
We'll talk about that later.
I get like my favorite movies based on my mood.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
So that one is spot on.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best ones. Next up is Knives Out at 97% Rotten Tomatoes, 92% audience.
Yeah, that's a good one. I love that one.
I haven't seen that one either.
Ooh, so good.
Also on my list. Most of these movies are on my list if I haven't seen them
Knives
already.
Out, you will love. You will
I've
love.
heard that, yeah.
All right, number 6, Casablanca, made in 1942, 99% critic, 95% audience. Never seen that one.
You know, I got Casablanca once.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, so I liked this girl, and she was going somewhere, I was going somewhere, I don't remember, it doesn't matter. But, like, we had to break up for a distance thing,
Yeah.
and she was like, here's looking at you, kid.
Oh.
Like, I wouldn't know that was from Casablanca.
Right.
And I was like, did you just quote Casablanca to me? And she was like, yeah, sorry, I'm not good in these situations. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
So that one was 99% and 95%.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So apparently everyone likes it, so
It's
I
a
guess
great
we need
movie.
to check it out.
Avengers Endgame is number 5. That one came in at 94% Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience. Tim's approval is 100%.
I think, okay, hear me out. This is not, I do not believe this is the best movie ever made, nor is it actually my favorite comic book movie necessarily.
True.
But I do believe it is a perfect comic book movie.
Agreed.
Like, if that makes sense. It is a perfect comic book movie for what it is. If you had this movie without everything else before it, no. But because of where it came from before and all the other movies built up,
It's the storyline of the comic books.
Yep.
You get each piece little by little as
Yep.
they come out, so you get the full story in
Yep.
little pieces. Like they're good movies on their own, but they're not a full story
Right.
without the others that led up to it.
Yep.
It's a perfect comic book movie. I agree.
All right. Number 4, I really enjoyed this one too. Parasite with 98% critic and 90% audience.
That one was a really good social commentary that
So
we don't
good.
have time to get into today.
No, we do not. That's a whole episode on its own for sure.
Number 3, 1941, Citizen Kane came in at 99% Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience, and 0% from Chris. I cannot stand this movie.
I've never seen it.
It is. We'll get back to this one, but it is the most overrated movie in all of film history, and I will fight you on that.
Okay, number 2, coming in with 96% critic and 79% audience, Black Panther.
100% Chris.
Really?
100%.
Yep.
That movie is phenomenal.
I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing for what it was. I was a little let down with some of the cinematography aspects to it, but overall, the story and the theme behind it, I give it a 100%.
Yeah, I really like what it did for the culture.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest impact for me, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, seeing all those people, so happy.
Agreed.
Number 1, It Happened One Night, 1934. I think there's a remake of that, actually.
Really?
I don't know if it already came out or if it's coming out or if
Ooh.
it was just like a story they were talking about.
Never seen it.
Anyway, this one is 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, 93% audience.
I mean, people like it, apparently. I need to watch it, I guess.
It's a good movie, man. It's a good movie.
Okay, so let's move on. Those are the highest rated according to Rotten Tomatoes. Let's talk about the most awarded movies. Instead of trying to do top 10, I'm just going to give you guys the tied for number 1. So this is how many wins there were. Chris, you're seeing the answers, so I can't say guess which ones it is. But if you before you saw the answers, what do you think would have been number 1?
Titanic.
Yeah.
I would have said Titanic.
Yeah.
That's won so many awards, and it's such a great movie.
So let me go down to top because I wrote it a certain way, but there's nominations and there's wins. So I'm going to go by this. Ben-Hur with 11 wins. All these have 11 wins. Had 12 nominations. So out of 12, it got 11. Pretty
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
Pretty
nice.
great. Titanic, 14 nominations, 11 wins. Still really great.
I really feel like when it comes to movies and nominations would add extra points.
What do you mean?
Like if you're nominated for 14 awards, but you win 11, and somebody else is nominated for 12, but they win 11, like you were nominated twice more, you should win.
Well, see, I need to look more into the history of it because I think about just because of the time differences, you look, I mean, especially with Ben-Hur.
They might have different types of awards. And,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then my personal favorite out of these 3 is Lord of the Rings Return of the King, which had 11 nominations and 11 wins. So I got a perfect score at the Academies.
I mean, if you want to look at it like that, yeah,
That's
is
how
a
I look at
perfect
it.
score. Still not the best Lord of the Rings, in my opinion.
What's your favorite one?
Two Towers.
Because of Helm's Deep?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's
100%.
worthy of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we're going to go into our top 10. And again, these are, now I will fully let you be aware, I am super incredibly nerdy when it comes to movies. And so I have, and you've heard this in other episodes, I have list among list among list.
He truly does.
And so it took me 2 mini nights, TOO mini nights, to narrow this down.
So this is Tim's top 10 lists of his top 10 favorite movies.
No. We'll go back and forth, starting at number 10, and we'll kind of go back and forth, and we'll just give you a brief description of why it's our favorite and stuff like that. But this is not necessarily what we think are the best movies. These are just our favorite movies.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a difference.
Also, with mine, like I said earlier, my lists are so fluid depending on my mood. So this was hard for me to narrow down to a top 10.
Yeah.
And they're not even in order. They're just on the list.
Yep. Okay. Chris, you want to start?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
So my first one is Tombstone, which is the story of...
That's your number 10.
I guess number 10. Like I said, it's up there.
So fluid. To you.
Tombstone is the story of Wyatt Earp and his family and friends, Doc Holliday and his brothers, Virgil, and I cannot remember his other brother's name for the life of me. But they're living in Tombstone, Arizona, just old school Western spaghetti shootout.
Yes.
Doing the deal.
Pew, pew.
Wyatt Earp decides to be a privateer and then eventually goes back to being a lawman, U.S. Marshal. It's a great movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen it once or twice with my grandfather. I remember just like knowing what it was, and for the Western that it was just really one of those pivotal Western movies that really
I'm not even a Western guy, but
right.
That's definitely one of my top 10 favorite movies.
It's going. All right, my number 10 is Black Hawk Down. It is about the 1993, I believe, or 92 Somalian. I don't even know what you call it. It wasn't a war, but conflict, I guess is what they call it. And it was when American forces were in Somalia, and some crazy stuff goes down. And long story short, some Americans get trapped, and so the whole thing is kind of like basically Vietnam summed up. Is we go back in there to try to save people, and then other people die, and we go back in there to try to save them, and just don't leave, and just. It's a crazy story, and I remember watching that when I was younger. And it was truly one of the first grittiest, gut-wrenching films I've saw about war.
Yeah.
And because it was so more recent, it really kind of struck to me. That was right around the time of 9/11, so I knew some of this stuff was definitely happening, or stuff like this. And so it really struck a chord to me, and just it was shot very well. I loved the actors in there. They were not too big, but they were just good enough to really kind of show authenticity, I think, with the roles that they were given. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Yeah, I wasn't actually allowed to watch that one until I was a little bit older, because my dad had some issues watching it, being military. Like it was real.
Yeah,
it got to him.
Before we move on, I would equate it, or I would parallel it with Saving Private Ryan as far as realism, and it was just really good.
All right, my next one on my list is Zombieland.
So good. I'm so glad this is on your list, because I love this movie.
Oh man, it's so great. So it's about these 4 people living in a post-apocalyptic world where zombies are still running around. It is Columbus, Tallahassee, Little Rock, and I always forget the 4th one.
Oh shoot, what is it? I can't remember.
Wichita.
It's Wichita. That's it.
And Wichita, living in, like I said, a zombie-infested world. They have these rules to keep them safe, and you basically follow Columbus in his quest to make Wichita fall in love with him.
Right.
And then all of this craziness ensues. They end up running away from each other and saving each other and tricking each other. All kinds of stuff. And it's a comedy.
Yes.
It's a zombie comedy. Those
So
are my
good.
favorite types of movies.
So good.
So that one's pretty good.
Loved it. That was a great one. That was one of the films that we watch a lot together when we lived together. And
we throw that on in the background still, to this day, when the kids aren't out, when we're just hanging out with the adults.
Yeah.
We'll throw that movie on in the background, play a board game or something, and just laugh and hang out.
Yep. All right, so my number 9 is Dunkirk, which I love this film because I think most of my favorite war films are the ones about times or periods or maybe different angles that you haven't heard that much about.
Right.
So Dunkirk, made by Christopher Nolan, which I will give you guys a fair warning. He's on my list a few times.
He's a celebrity crush of Tim's.
He kind of is.
In Nolan, he trusts.
Very much so. But this is about when World War I really just started, and the Germans were doing their what do you call it? Their rush through Europe. They brushed past Belgium and Blitzkrieg. That's a word. They really just pushed everyone. They pushed through Belgium. They pushed through France, and they cornered the British army at Dunkirk, is a town in France, and essentially, it's just a really heroic story about how they escaped and how they were able to get out because of just common people. So it's a really fantastic British story, and it's like one of those stories that you don't really hear about unless you're into it. But the way Christopher Nolan does it, it kind of trips you up with time and how you view it. And so,
because that man can never direct a movie in one linear plot.
You just can't. No, if you were to ever go outside into like a popular genre, I'm so curious as to how he would do it, because like if you were given a James Bond, which that's been floated around, I don't know if I would like that, because I don't know what he would do with it. I know he's a great director, but I feel like he couldn't help but do something wibbly wobbly timely with it.
Doctor Who? He probably would, and it would still be a phenomenal movie.
That's true. Okay, and
he's
Nolan
a great director. All right, my next one is actually, because I love anime, it's a Studio Ghibli movie, one of the highest rated anime movies of all time by Hayao Miyazaki, Spirited Away. This movie, you can find it on HBO Max if you haven't seen it, but it won so many awards. It's such a great story of this girl, Chihiro, who her family moves to a new area and she's exploring an area with her family that's close to her house, but it's kind of like off. Looks like an old abandoned theme park.
Yeah.
Her parents start eating and she decides to go wander around this park. And my first thought is, why are you eating food at an abandoned theme park? But whatever. She comes back and they've been turned into pigs.
Oh.
So she's looking for help, finds somebody who turns out to be a spirit. And she ends up in this other dimension, basically, of spirits and dragons and monsters and all kinds of really cool stuff. Super cool. She gets sucked into working at this bathhouse. She has to earn her name back and all kinds of really cool things like that. It's a really good movie.
Cool.
Ellie loves it.
Really?
She loves this movie. Even Janelle likes this movie, and she hates anime. So you know it's good.
All right, I'll put it on my ever expanding list for you.
Put it at the top.
All right, my number 8, which is also the only comedy on my list, Ocean's 11. It is one of those movies to where I know it is not the greatest comedy movie ever made, but it's my favorite comedy movie ever made.
It's funny.
It is.
It's good.
It is. And it's one of those movies that if you've never seen it before, it has like one of those twists at the end that you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's how they did it. It's basically about a heist and how these 11 people come together and they rob someone. And it sounds super simple, and it is, but the cast is, I think, in my opinion,
They have great chemistry.
So freaking hilarious. Brad Pitt in that movie is...
Honestly, all of the Ocean's movies, even 8, were phenomenal.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they've really got a good rhythm down with these movies, the modern ones, because I know it's like there's older ones, but these modern ones I really love. So, yep, that's my number 8.
All right, my next one, we mentioned earlier, James Bond.
Yes.
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
I thought this movie was really well done.
Yes.
Because it is James Bond's origin story without making it an origin story.
Yes.
It goes back to
100%.
When he's like first a Bond agent. It shows his childhood home.
Yes.
But it doesn't show like, oh, he's a little kid. This is baby Bond.
Right. It's not like another repetitive how like Batman's parents were killed.
Yeah.
It's not that. It really just is this.
It's like this is a situation he's in that somebody got mad about the past, and then he had to deal with it in the present.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. And just for clarity's sake, this is also my number 5. So
well, there you go.
There you go.
I didn't read your list. I should have.
It's okay. It's okay.
I could have picked a different movie for that spot then.
No, it's good. Your number 7, Skyfall. I agree with you. It's one of those Bond films too that I think it's kind of like Endgame, where it accumulates everything that you know about Bond in I think the most beautiful way that possibly could, without it being overly obvious. It's like if you're a Bond film, you catch it.
Yeah.
But if you're not, it's still a great film. And so and I think one of my most favorite villains, Bond villains, is in this film.
Oh yeah, Mr. Silva.
Dude, that scene where we're introduced to his character is by far one of my most favorite villainous speeches of all time.
He's also one of Janelle's favorite actors. I don't remember his name.
I gotta look it up. He did No Country for Old Men.
He was also in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
5.
I want to find it. Javier. Where is it? Javier. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, Javier Bardem.
Is that right?
Bardem.
I don't know.
I can't, guys. I can't talk. Anyways, yes, 100% great villain. Okay, that was your number 7.
That's my 7.
Okay, my number 7 was Tenet, another Christopher Nolan film. Guys, I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I mean, I already was, but Christopher Nolan he wows me. The man can do no wrong, in my opinion. I'm just letting you guys know out there. This is one of those films you will love it or you will hate it.
The rest of Tim's list is all Christopher Nolan.
It's not, but most of it is. This film is one of the most. If you are going out there and you're just tired of the same movie over and over and over again, go watch this film. It will twist your brain up, but if you pay attention and try to catch on, it is the most. You could not put this movie into a book. It is. Have you seen this?
No. It's on my list, though.
Chris.
I know.
No,
I was hoping you wouldn't ask.
Oh.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask. No, I have not seen it, and I apologize. Sincerely. It's on my list. I will watch it. I'll probably watch it this week.
Okay. Anyways, it's a great film. It's about this man. I want to get into it. That broke my heart a little bit,
skip
man.
it. I'm sorry. We'll skip it.
It's a great film. Real quick, the real quick thing is it's about a guy who's trying to prevent the end of the world because of time entropy. That's what it is. And if you don't know what that is, just go Google it, and your brain will already be mushed.
Okay, cool. I'm down for that. Speaking of crazy movies with insane twists,
Oh
my number
goodness.
6. We actually can't talk about it. So, skipping that. No, I'm kidding. My number 6 is Fight Club.
So good.
This movie was probably one of the trippiest movies I had seen as a kid. I was definitely not age appropriate when I saw it.
Nope.
But it was so good.
So
like
good.
watching this character who never has a solid name, by the way.
Yeah.
Just developing these problems and having to figure out a way to solve them, never having anything until he meets this guy, Tyler Durden, who takes him to a place and he's like, hey, I want you to hit me as hard as you can. And they start this fight club that eventually evolves into like a kind of almost a domestic terrorist.
It really is.
Definitely a domestic terrorist organization.
Yeah.
They end up doing some crazy stuff and basically reset the world.
Yeah.
And it's all like, you never really know for sure what's happening until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
And that twist really caught me off guard.
Yep. No, it's one of those films to where, when did that come out? Like mid 2000s? No, it was early.
That was like
Because Brad Pitt was really just starting getting on the scene.
early thousands. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Maybe
film.
even 90s.
That film does some trippy things to your mind. I spoiled too
It
much.
was 99.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a good one. It's one of those films to where it's got a good twist at the end. It's got a good, it really does it's kind of like the cultural significance too of just consumerism and corporate greed in a way. When you look at it, it's just, there's so many, like that, there had been many podcasts out there just about this one movie. And so great pick. That was your number 6?
Yeah.
All right, my number 6. This is out of respect to, again, this is one of my favorite things, one of my favorite movies, and also I would argue one of the best movies ever made, and that is The Godfather.
Ooh, yes.
The Godfather.
You come to me on the day my daughter is to be married and ask me to kill a man I do not know.
So when I found out through my parents, through my mom, that I was Italian, I got into this huge Italian movie craze.
I remember that.
Yeah, and of course this, dominated the list. But it was one of those films too that I learned very quickly, like other people love, because it was just such a great movie. And so as I grew up and started rewatching it again, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a fantastic movie, well directed, well written, and just all the above. And so it's a legend movie. It's one of those OG movies. It's one of those that it's literally could be on the top 10 best movies of all time, I think. But yeah.
It's not. We just went through those.
Well, through money, I guess.
No, that's one of those movies that, like, it's a given. Like, everybody loves this movie.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it on your top 10 list.
Yeah.
It's a given. All right, my number 5. It is a comic book movie from Vertigo Comics, though, so it's not mainstream.
Oh, yes.
V for Vendetta.
So good.
Such a good movie.
So good.
Very poignant in our time, I think, with the way that the government's going, the way that global governments have been going, not just America.
Yes.
It's about this guy that ends up somehow with super enhanced abilities, not even superpowers, just enhanced abilities. And he uses those, he plans, he does all kinds of crazy stuff to take down a very oppressive government that has been lying and murdering its own people.
Yeah.
Literally black-bagging people for no reason, just because they're gay or they have a Quran in their house or whatever it may be, because they just spoke out against the government.
Yeah.
And no repercussions.
Right.
So this dude finally is like, you know what? I'm re-empowering the people. Those masks that everybody uses now as anonymous masks, those are his masks.
Right.
From V for Vendetta, based on Guy Fawkes. It's a really cool movie. Tons of explosions, tons of really cool action scenes.
And Natalie
Portman delivered, probably, in my opinion, her best role.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Even taking Star Wars into account,
I agree.
this was her best role.
Yeah.
She handled it like a champ.
Yeah.
And I appreciate her for it.
Yep. Agree 100% with you. So my number 5 was Skyfall. So we don't have to talk more about that.
We'll
Great
skip
film.
that one.
It's a great film. Go watch it.
My number 4 The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Aw.
Not even kidding. We don't have to get into that. It's a Winnie the Pooh story, and I love it.
It's a good one.
What's your number 4?
All right, my number 4 is another surprise Christopher Nolan film by the name of Inception. This is another one of those films, whether you love it or you hate it.
What shocks me is that this one has been pushed down to number 4 for you.
Again, I tell you, I stayed up way too many nights debating my favorites because, again, I have my opinion on some of the best films, I think, and some of my, like, what did I feel at the moment? Because it's kind of like you. Like, sometimes it's just fluid of the time that you're in, and which will explain my number 1. But Inception is one of the best Christopher Nolan films of all time. If you take out, like some of the Batman stuff he did, and even my number 1. But it's about dreams and dreams. It's about dream technology. It's about what it means what a father would do to get back to his children, and what he would do to make his family whole again. And it's a trippy movie. It's got a great cast with Leo DiCaprio. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's got Elliot Page. It's got Michael Caine. It's just a stellar team, and
it was a good movie.
It's a good movie.
For sure.
Yep.
All right. So my number 3.
Hey, we're gonna have some fun with this.
Again, I love comedy zombie movies.
Yes.
My number 3, and the top 3 are the only ones that I actually do have ranked. Written by Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. Directed by Edgar Wright. Life isn't too good for Sean. He lives with his best friend Ed, neglects his girlfriend Liz, and despises his stepdad Philip. When Liz dumps Sean, he vows to get his life back on track. Unfortunately, this is the day that the dead have decided to come back to life. With a cricket bat and Ed by his side, Sean sets out to rescue those he loves, those he doesn't love, head back to the Winchester, and have a pint. Shaun of the Dead.
So good.
British zombie comedy.
It's phenomenal.
I have 0 complaints about this movie. 0 complaints about this movie. Like the jokes, the dry wit.
Yeah.
Even the zombies themselves are used as jokes because, like, there's a shopkeeper that turns into a zombie, and he's always got his hand out waiting for Sean to give him the other 15p that he owes him. It's just such a good movie. I don't want to go too into detail because I could literally talk about this movie for hours.
Yep. So good, man.
Edgar Wright, though, phenomenal director.
I agree with you.
Love Edgar Wright.
I remember. I think you showed me that movie for the first time.
I did,
and I remember just. It's not in my top 10, but it's one of my favorite movies to watch, just to kick back and just have a good laugh.
It's such a good time.
So good.
All
right. My number 3, written by Steven Zaillian, Aaron Sorkin, and Stan. I can't pronounce words. Chervin, and directed by Bennett Miller, with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. In 2001, general manager Billy Beane's Oakland A's lose to the Yankees in the playoff, then lose 3 stars to free agency. How can Beane field a competitive team when the A's player salaries total less than a third of the rich teams? To the consternation of his scouts, Beane hires and listens to Peter Brand, a recent Yale grad who evaluates players using Billy James' statistical approach. Beane assembles a team of no-names who, on paper, can get on base and score runs. Then, Beane's manager, Art Howe, won't use the players as Beane wants. Can Beane circumvent Howe, win games, make it to the 2002 series, and stay in baseball's hideout conventions on their heads? The movie is Moneyball.
Moneyball.
It seems like a boring film.
If you don't like baseball or math, it can be.
But guys, let me tell you, this is one of the most, and I mean this in all true respect to what I'm about to say, one of the best slow-moving movies of all time. It is about a dad who is he's changing jobs. He's changing the way he does his job, and he's doing something that no one else wants to do, and he's also a single dad. Well, he's him and his wife are divorced, but he's trying to do the best for his daughter at the same time. And this movie has some of the best music I've ever heard in my life. It's got music from This Will Destroy You in it.
Love This Will Destroy You.
Oh, this movie means, I don't know even why it means so much to me, but it's one of those films that I watched a lot when I was single and when we lived together, and it just, I can't get into all of it because it just means a lot to me. And if you really like films that just kind of tug on you a lot and really just you like to just feel with, this is one of those movies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the next one. Written and directed by Troy Duffy. Irish brothers Connor McManus, played by Sean Patrick Flannery, and Murphy McManus, played by Norman Reedus, live and work in Boston. Feeling that God's will to rid Earth from all human evil was given to them as a mission, they set out to do their divine deed. A public outcry is never heard, and even FBI agent Paul Schmecker, played by Willem Dafoe, who follows their trails of bloodshed, admit that the boys are doing exactly what he secretly always had wished to happen, risking their lives for their beliefs of veritas, truth, and aequitas, justice in Latin. The Boondock Saints are hyped by the public for they are doing good, which only a few dare admit.
Man.
Boondock Saints.
Man, this movie.
Also, not child appropriate.
No, please.
Definitely not child appropriate.
Please.
But watching these two brothers fight for each believe is right.
Yeah.
It's just such an intense movie. It's got some great comedy in it with David Della Rocco as one of the characters.
Right.
Such a good movie.
So good.
Love it. That poor cat. Oh, that poor cat.
If you know, you know. It's one of those films I don't know why I equate it to or parallel it to The Godfather, but I do for some reason. It has nothing to do with Godfather or Italian Mob, but it just, for whatever reason.
Kind of did. They were the villains.
Yeah, I guess so.
So there you go.
That's how I always pictured it in my mind. Whenever I thought Godfather, and like on the other part of my brain, I always thought Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
Anyways,
makes sense.
All right, my number 2, directed by Gavin O'Connor with Tom Hardy, Joel Edgerton, and Edgerton and Nick Nolte. Two brothers face the fight of a lifetime and the wreckage of their broken family within the brutal, high-stakes world of mixed martial arts, fighting in Lionsgate's action drama Warrior. I'm not going to keep going with this because it just doesn't need to. This movie is my favorite bro movie of all time.
Yeah. They're literally bros.
They're literally brothers. This movie has such, as I mentioned here before, or in the synopsis, they come from broken families where their father was an abusive alcoholic. And this movie, to me, shows the bond of brothers and over a lifespan, and how, even though they literally fight each other, how they can overcome it, and how being there for one another truly does, I can't even explain it well. It changes their dynamics in all the different ways. You know, each brother has their own life and how they handled their grief and how they handled their abuse. But at the end of the film, and I'm not going to spoil it because I would encourage everyone to go watch this movie.
Even if you've seen it, watch it again.
Yes, it's Jessica's number 1 movie, I think. It truly does just show you so much of. There are people out there who have grief and who have depression, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And people treat it differently. And this movie shows how, through, in this case, brotherly love, can at least combat that and how to move forward with that. And, dude, it's one of my favorite bro movies of all time.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So getting to my number 1.
Yes.
This one is actually my favorite movie of all time. And it took me a while to
fully
admit this to myself, but as an adult, you're allowed to like what you like.
Yep.
So you don't have to feel things are weird.
Yep.
This one, written by Michael Bacall and Edgar Wright, again, directed by Edgar Wright.
Yep. Yeah, naturally.
this guy.
Yeah.
Michael Cera is an unemployed 23-year-old bass guitarist in an up-and-coming garage rock band who is dating a cute 17-year-old high school girl, which is problematic in and of itself. I'm going to pause that right there. That's problematic.
Yeah.
But we'll move on from there. He is having fun in life and rolling along at a nice even tempo until one day Ramona Flowers rollerblades into his life. Ramona moved to Toronto from New York City to find peace and quiet and leave her past behind. No one knows what that past is, but Scott will find out very soon as he tries to make Ramona his new girlfriend. Before Scott can begin dating Ramona, he must prove himself by defeating the league of her 7 evil exes who control her love life. They will do anything to get rid of and destroy any new boyfriend Ramona may consider. If Scott wants to find true love with Ramona, he must defeat all 7 before the game is over. This one, I think, was just such a fun...
It's so good.
Good movie.
It's so good.
It was Chris Evans' best role, if you ask me.
Oh my gosh.
Like, don't get me wrong. Captain America, you know, he's a phenomenal Captain America, sure. But he plays Evil X number 2.
Yeah.
And I just love it so much.
It's one of those movies where you almost don't realize it's a comic book movie until you're like a quarter of the way through it, and it in the most beautiful way. In the most like, this is a literal comic book movie. Like
Scott Pilgrim, by the way. I don't know if I actually said the name of the movie.
yes,
It's Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. So this one, it takes place in the magical land of Canada, Toronto, Canada.
Yeah.
So, there's like theme music going all over the place, and there's comic jump skips in the scenes. There's when he goes to the bathroom, there's a pee bar for how full his bladder is. Like it's great.
Yeah.
It's such a great movie, full of so many fun little tropes and things from comic books. It has a video game, which I own. I love the game as well. It's an old school side-scrolling beat-em-up game.
Yes.
Super fun movie, super fun game. Check it out, Scott Pilgrim. My
so
number
good.
one.
I so many good memories of watching that together with us and just
that's another one that we just turn on in the background all the time.
All right, my number one, again, by no surprise, directed by Chris Nolan with Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jessica Chastain, and Michael Caine. In the near future, around the American Midwest, Cooper, an ex-science engineer and pilot, is tied to his farming land with his daughter Murph and son Tom. As devastating sandstorms ravage Earth's crops, the people of Earth realize their life here is coming to an end as food begins to run out. Eventually stumbling upon a NASA base near Cooper's home, he is asked to go on a daring mission with a few other scientists into a wormhole because of Cooper's scientific intellect and ability to pilot aircraft unlike the other crew members. In order to find a new home while Earth decays, Cooper must decide to either stay or risk never seeing his children again in order to save the human race by finding another habitable planet. This movie, the reason why it's number one, gives me all of the feels.
All of them.
Every single one.
It was really controversial for a while to like this movie because nobody knew if it was good or not. It took a while for people to start finally catching on to what it was.
Okay, first off, scientifically, it's one of the best representations of a wormhole. Like, they actually described to you in the movie, like, what a wormhole would actually look like if it existed. And they talked with other scientists, and they actually, like, went together with them and talked about, like, okay, how would this work? And, obviously it's a movie. There are going to be some fictional elements to it. But
theoretically, like, what would this take?
They play around with black holes. They play around with, my favorite part about this is time and how time is relative.
Affected by gravity.
Yes. And so just that part of it, to me, as a person who loves information and knowledge, is truly amazing. But then you go to the relational side to all this about Cooper and his daughter Murph, who's named after Murphy's Law. It is such as described in the synopsis, it's just such a tug for me, especially now as a dad and as a dad with a daughter.
I want you to realize, I waited until we got to the end of this list, but all of your top 3 for sure, and most of your other top 10 movies about dads.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be a parent, or at least I've always wanted to at least have that opportunity. And so this movie, it gives you the essence of how desperate Cooper is and the conflict he has to do what's best for the human race, but also wanting so desperately to reach back to his daughter. It's my favorite movie.
It's a great one.
It's a great one, I think.
All right. So before we get to our next break, let's do this one hot take style, where we drop what we think is the movie, and we have nothing else to say about it.
Just the greatest movie of all time?
The greatest movie ever made. Don't explain yourself.
Yeah.
Drop it and leave.
On 3, 2, 1, go?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, not at the same time?
No, because then we'd have to explain the differences if we do it at the same time.
So my favorite movie of all time, what I believe is the best movie.
What you believe is the best movie ever made, not your favorite, but the best movie ever made.
The Godfather.
The Dark Knight.
What?
And we will be right back in just a bit.
Gosh. We're back.
Hey.
That was fun. All right, let's move on to our last part because I know we went a little long, and no, we're not sorry, but
I'm never sorry for anything I do. I don't apologize. I don't believe in sorry.
All right, let's get to our next segment, Ask Chris and Tim. We only got 2 questions this week, which means you guys should be asking us more questions because we love answering your questions.
Yeah, and one of them is from your wife, so I don't even think that counts.
Yeah, it probably doesn't.
We need more listeners. Tell your friends. Tell your mom.
Ask us questions. Please.
On
Okay.
Facebook is fine. It doesn't have to go to our email.
Anywhere.
First question. Who asked it, Tim?
Harley, our friend Harley, she asked, black and blue or white and gold dress? I don't remember. I got to look this up.
Black and blue.
I think I saw black and blue as well.
Yeah, I feel like the people that saw white and gold just really wanted to be controversial. It was absolutely a black and blue dress.
Yep. I'm looking at it. That's not even it. That's a movie. Apparently, that's
black and blue.
Seriously. Here we go, Google. Oh, yeah, it's black and blue. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoever saw gold, I'm not saying, let me watch what I'm going to say here. Well, whatever you're saying, I'm praying for you.
Whatever you saw, you're wrong, and I hope you feel better. All right. Yeah. Next question, like I said, came from your wife. What is your favorite cheesy 90s movie?
I'm not a fan of 90s movies mostly. Like 95% of them I don't care for because my dad loved rewatching the same movies over and over again as kids. Titanic, for example, like I mentioned earlier. So I only have like one or two that I could think of, and we talked about this before, but my 90s movie was The Sandlot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great film, too. It's a great comedy. It's super cheesy. And
everybody loves it, though.
In all the good ways. In all the good ways.
In all the good ways. Benny the Jet was by far the best baseball player I've ever seen.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Every time I hear that line, I get a little smile.
The Great Bambino.
Oh, man.
It's a good one. What's yours?
Mine. So I love 90s movies. It's... like, I'm a 90s kid through and through. I love them. I couldn't pick one. But if I had to, it would probably be Tommy Boy.
I've only seen that movie like halfway through.
You need to watch Tommy Boy.
I don't
like put that literally the number one movie on your list right now.
No.
Switch it around.
90s movies are not on top of my list. They just aren't.
It's such a good movie. Chris Farley, David Spade, like... No?
I'm not a huge comedy person in general when it comes to movies. And that's another thing.
Tim.
I mean, you saw my list.
Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat.
Come on, let's move on.
Who's your favorite little rascal, Tim? Is it Alfalfa?
Yeah.
Or is it Spanky?
Oh, we should move on.
Thank you for those questions, guys.
Yes.
Again, send us more if you want to hear funnier banter.
Yes. Okay, that was quick, and that's good. So I think we have two more segments that we can do. I think we got
do
time.
two more?
Let's do it. Because why not, right?
All right, cool. First segment then. Let's do things I learned from the internet.
This is two new segments.
Two new segments.
New.
And
we never done before.
they're wholesome for the most part.
Yeah.
So wholesome things I learned from the internet.
Yeah, you go first.
Nothing creepy or sketchy. Vegetables aren't real.
This blew my mind.
Yeah.
I feel lied to.
So people just agree to eat certain plants, and that's what makes them vegetables.
Yeah.
According to botanists, vegetables aren't a thing.
Yeah.
Like cucumbers are melons.
Yeah.
Tomatoes are fruit.
Yep.
Potatoes are roots. Like vegetables are not a thing.
That blew my mind.
Vegetables aren't real.
Like, and for all you guys out there, like, oh, well, of course, you put the word on there for anything that you can eat. Yeah, but, like, that doesn't mean, scientifically, that doesn't mean anything.
Like, scientifically, vegetables aren't real.
Right.
They're all just lumped together in one group.
Foods that we can eat.
Nothing ties them together.
Right.
It's
so
insane.
Wild. So wild. Okay, so the one thing I learned, and this is kind of sad, but also kind of like, oh, interesting. So in 1916, there was a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution that would put all acts of war to a national vote, and anyone voting yes would have had to register as a volunteer for service in the United States Army.
I'm here for it. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm on board. It makes you think twice about it, don't it?
It does. If we did that globally, like, all right, I believe in this cause as a war. Cool, go fight it.
Yep.
Hold on.
Right.
See? I'm here for it. Let's do it. That would cut down on 90% of war.
I'm telling you.
Let's do it.
I'm telling you. All right, next segment, brand new one that Chris thought of, which I think is a brilliant one. Theories we believe in.
This goes back to our conspiracy theory episode. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and take a listen to it.
You should.
I'm going to throw one of these in pretty much every other podcast, I think. I love this. Theories we believe in. Disney created the movie Frozen so that the Google results for Disney Frozen would stop being about Walt's head.
Even if Walt's head is not in there, which I hope it's not. But even if it weren't, like, I get it. Like, okay, guys, we got to stop this trend on Google. We got to...
It's not real. Stop asking. You know what? We're going to fix this. We're going to make the most annoying soundtrack to bother parents.
Right.
We're going to promote this one. We're going to market it. We're going to make sure this is #1 when you Google Disney Frozen.
Yeah.
And it's not even that, because then they release like Frozen 2 and Frozen Adventure and Springtime Frozen, and there's a ride for Frozen. They wanted to take over the whole front page of Google.
And they sure did.
So next time you're on Google, just type in Disney Frozen Head. Make sure you get the full thing.
Yeah.
That way we can bring it back to the #1 page.
There you go. Come on, guys. Let's work together on this.
We can do it. I believe in us.
We can do it. Well, that was it, because I don't have my own for that, because I'm not that deep onto conspiracy theories like you are. But
we'll get to it.
One day I'll find
We'll
one.
figure it out.
Yeah.
You just let me know when you want to talk conspiracies and you
done.
have 4 hours. We'll do it. All right, guys. Let's roll with the final thoughts. Tim, what do you got for me on this one?
Final thoughts for the day. This was a fun segment. I knew this one was going to be a little bit longer, and that's okay. I love movies. I truly do. My list of movies, like if I showed you the list, I use this app called Letterboxd, and it kind of like allows you to make your own custom list. And it's one of the things that I truly love. I think for the modern era, this is one of my favorite ways of storytelling. And I think we kind of shared our top kind of stories, what we truly relate to. And as Chris, what you so eloquently said earlier, I didn't even realize this as I was writing it down, but my top 3 were movies about dads. And to me, that hits me the hardest. One of the things that I love is my kids. And even before I had kids, I liked those movies. And so I think movies say a lot about us. I think our favorite movies say a lot about our character and our humor and how we view the world in many ways.
For sure.
And so, man, I love movies. I really am excited to get back to a new normal with going to the theater. That's one of Jessica and I's favorite thing to do, is just go out and watch new movies. But yeah, I think it was good. I think it was a good day.
It was a good day. I like that. I don't have anything to add to that. That was just chef's kiss. Cherry on top. Yes, sir. I think that's it.
I think that's it, man. Dude, what a great pod. What a great episode.
I had a blasty blast.
Blasty blast.
I say that a lot, but I did. I always do.
Oh, man. Okay, well, hey, guys, make sure you connect with us, because we love to hear from you guys. We love to know what you want to hear us talk about, and love to hear us talk about. We love to know what you want to hear us talk about. Is that right? Did I say it right?
We want you to tell us what to talk about to you, so you can hear us saying it to you from us.
That's right.
For you.
Just for you. And then, Chris, what should they do on all their stuff?
They should follow, like, rate, and subscribe on Apple Podcast, Overcast, whatever platform you use. Send us love in emails and Facebook messages, and you can buy me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com.
That's right.
Or is it
Yeah.
.com?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one of those now, Always More Podcast.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to do to interact with us, as long as it's positive.
We like positive things.
Because I'll say it again, I will cry.
All right, guys, we love you all. Thanks again for listening. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you guys next time. Ciao! Bye!
Thank you for listening to the Always More podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, share, like, and rate on whatever your platform of preference is. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Always More Pod, and ask your question using hashtag AskChrisAndTim. If you'd like to support the podcast and feed into Chris and Tim's caffeine addiction, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/alwaysmorepod. For further information and to contact Chris or Tim, you can email them at alwaysmorepodcast@gmail.com.